When we think about culture, a definition I'd like you to reflect upon is the one that you see on your screen, which is culture is a learned set of shared interpretations about beliefs, values, and norms that affect the behaviors of a relatively large group of people. And what I really want to draw your attention to are the words learned and invisible. So, culture is something that is learned, not innate, and it is invisible usually to the people inhabiting them. And also, my dog just burped, which is super cute, so I'm not going to re-record this particular video. But that was James. Say hi to James, y'all. Culture is learned in that if you look at the pictures on your screen, you're going to see folks that are working with children of all different ages. So we have children that look like they're in a museum. We have children that look like they're in some sort of daycare that are with their parents celebrating a birthday or some sort of event. Children who are learning about religious activities, who are eating food with their families, who are with their peers, and also who are learning different sounds and music to appreciate from a very young age. So I think it's important for us to recognize that we're all learning culture from the moment we're born. So the organizations that we belong to, the families that we're born into, the experiences that we have with friends at school or religious institutions, and the kinds of beliefs and values that we are taught that are important, those things form our culture. And the second part of this definition that's really important is to recognize that culture tends to be invisible to the people who inhabit it. So, very often we can talk about other people's cultures and we can identify and see it because it's different from our own. But we don't often think about how is my culture different from someone else's and what must other people see when they look at me. And I really like both of these images on your screen. The one on the right is a fish in a fishbowl, which is perhaps one of the oldest analogies about culture, but it talks about how the longer that you swim in a culture, the more invisible it becomes. And if you think about a fish in water, they're not aware that they're in water usually until they're out of the water, right? And similarly, if we think about a cultural iceberg, we tend to make assumptions about what culture is, both for ourselves and for others, based off of what we can see, what's visible. And that tends to be things like language. We can hear and see language differences, different dress, different types of food and celebrations that are religious and for holidays and festivals. Those things are more obvious to us. But culture is so much more than that and so much more rich than that. So if you look under the iceberg, under the water, the rest of the iceberg has to do with attitudes towards the environment, how people feel about modesty, how we handle competitiveness, our work ethics, our thought patterns, the way that we process information, child rearing practices, gestures, personal space, the biases and how we relate to authority. So I just want you to contemplate and think a little bit about your own culture and what your experience thus far has been like with culture and diversity in your workplace. Are you working somewhere where you don't really have to think about culture because you're working in a space that shares your culture? Or do you notice other people who seem to struggle a bit more with some of the rules or procedures? And might that be because of cultural differences? And which types of cultural values are placed as a priority in your workplace? And who does that serve at your workplace? So those are some things just to think about as you go through this chapter.